as we were getting ready to start the show today, I was the first one into the digital meeting room, and I asked Tucker what his ideal superpower would be. This is a long discussed topic that I think everyone should be thinking about just in case the opportunity arrives. And I was talking to Tucker about how for me, I think it would be the ability to just like freeze time and then operate independently throughout the world, snap back into action, everything resumes. You can get some little extra R&R. My CFB dynasty would be incredible. You could get some extra work done, plan ahead. You can pause for a weekend whenever. It just felt like a good answer. Then Seth entered the room, and I asked Seth the same question, and Seth said, I think I'd like to be able to freeze time. Obviously, Seth and I are on the same page here. Seth is a man of culture. Then Nate came in, and I said, Nate, if you could have any superpower, what would it be? And Nate said, oh, well, I already used mine. I said, what? I said, yeah, I told a genie a long time ago that I wanted to be the fastest man on earth when I'm wearing a hot dog costume. And I said, well, at least you got to pay yours off.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
Welcome into Only Weird Games. Some people have that dog in them. Nate's in that dog. The fastest man in mustard joining us here. I'm Joshua Brisco with Seth Keysor. I almost said I was Seth Keysor because, frankly, Seth, anything you want to say now'd be the time, because it's the last time anyone's going to ever care about anything the two of us ever say.
You know what? We crossed that line, I felt like, about a year and a half ago.
Fair.
And I've accepted that. I've accepted my lot in life. I ever since I got a good look at Nate's thighs when he was breaking news laying on a hotel bed, I realized that I'm playing second fiddle. That this is not, that was a know your role moment. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm a backup singer. I'm not Michael, not even Tito. I am, well, someone else on the Jackson 5. No one, I suppose
Fittingly,
Janet.
you couldn't pull a name.
Janet.
Like,
I'm not Janet either.
You did that show with Nate Taylor and
the guy with the lack of hair, with the stuff. Yeah. Nope, that's me. And so people who don't know, Nate, you fulfill the lifelong dream of putting on a hot dog suit.
That's right.
And outrunning two of your peers in sports, well, you have no peers in sports media. Two of the people who also work in sports media in Cody Tapp and Bob Fesco. You left Bob. Let's face it, Fesco. God love him. He let you guys take the spotlight. He had a nice jog around the track.
he really relished that opportunity, I think.
And he relished that.
And you know what Cody couldn't do? You know what Cody couldn't do?
Oh, what couldn't he do, Josh?
Catch up.
He couldn't. Yeah. And I have occasionally been prouder of a friend of mine, but off the top of my head, I can't think of a time. So that's all I have to say. I'm gonna go ahead and put this mic down, because you know how many times I've run a hot dog race at Kauffman Stadium? None. No one cares what I have to say. So I'm gonna let you guys go.
Nate, take the people through it. How did this come about? How did you put on, frankly, the most impressive athletic feat I have seen anywhere in sports over the last month or so? And certainly one of the top 2 Olympic-level chase downs from a Kansas Cityan.
Yes, right. Ladies and gentlemen, it is truly an honor to be here after such a warm welcome, after such a overwhelming amount of support, honestly, before the Derby and of course afterwards. I put out a short statement last night after my comeback victory, and I just felt it was only right to make this the place where I could give my first public comments after winning the hot dog derby. I didn't think it was right to do it anywhere else. This platform is perfectly suited for that. So, it was an amazing time. I've never felt so loved that has nothing to do with my family, that has nothing to do with my job, that has nothing to do with really anything. It is the most silly activity I've ever done, where I truly felt like people love me and I love them back, and I'm so proud that I could keep my my athletic reputation intact. I mean, that's, some people run for gold medals. Other people like me run because they've ran in the past and they need to prove yet again that they can still run at an elite level under the most unusual circumstances. That is putting on the most hot, heat infused pants I've ever worn in my life. And then for some reason, they ask you to put on a long sleeve, like, athletic shirt that is either, red, green, or yellow in my case, which is also hot. I mean, you obviously don't dress down, you only dress up. And then you put on a hot dog. And of all the Royals games I've ever gone to, of all the times I've wanted that one opportunity to get out and run, nothing can prepare you for running in a hot dog suit in that immense pressure, in that type of heat, those conditions, which I will explain much further in greater detail later. And then, it's one thing to run, in your neighborhood with your son in preparation for such a race. It's another thing to do it when the lights are on, to do it when people are in the stands, when you're the betting favorite. And ladies and gentlemen, I knew I was a overwhelming betting favorite in comparison to Bob Fesco and Cody Tapp of Sports Radio 610, now known as 96.5 The Fan. And
oh wow, they switched to FM.
Yeah,
sorry,
they switched to FM this week.
Me being outside the Kansas City area occasionally results in me like, oh wow, that's interesting. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. That's
no.
me.
It's perfect. No, it's perfect.
I will say, Seth, it's very poor form
point
in this press conference. That is what I am mentally in right now.
I'm
sorry.
waiting
for the opening. He hasn't told us the time czars yet.
Right.
Yeah,
sorry,
sure.
Sorry.
So, yeah, the lights were bright. The pressure was on me, and I'm just happy to, as I said in my statement last night, I'm just happy to honor Mustard's legacy, because I've only wanted to be Mustard all my life, and I'm just so happy that I could be here to tell you all about it, having run the race of my life. So with that, I'll times is yours, Mr. Brisco.
Yeah, Joshua Brisco here from the Glizzy Wheezy. I just wanted to know what it was that prompted that comeback that you had there. It looked like, to my untrained eye, it looked like you were losing the race. You hit that straight away. What happened then?
Yeah, so I basically used the first half of the race to understand what technique I could use to actually run in this thing, because I cannot explain how restrictive this hot dog suit is. You have such a limited amount of freedom of movement, especially I think the taller you are, the better you can do, because the hot dog suit doesn't cut off half your legs as you're trying to run forward. So yeah, the first half of the race, I just tried to get in a good tempo, control my breathing, not let the moment get too big, of course, and then really try to figure out my form. And there's clearly a experience level difference with Cody Tapp having run this race 2 years previously, and you can tell that he was out the gates, kids. I mean, he was out the gates. And so as we were making the turn, the question then becomes, okay, I feel like I can kind of see in this hot dog suit. I feel I can kind of run halfway decently in this suit. Now it's about, do I take the inside lane or do I try to take the outside lane as I pick up speed? Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to show you a picture here in a little bit that I'm sure Holly's going to be thrilled that I'm going to show you all. But I'm a track athlete. I'm someone who ran at a high level in high school. Okay. So we've been in these situations before, Josh. It's not like being behind shocks me. It's kind of like what Serena Williams always says: I play better when I'm down. I run faster when I'm behind. And in a split second, you have to make a decision whether you want to go outside or inside, because the restrictions are you can't win the race if you go on the actual grass of Kauffman Stadium. So I chose the inside, knowing there was going to be the tarp and the crown seat, sort of suites, not the crown seats, but obviously the dugout suites, I guess, as they call them. And I knew Cody was probably going to hear me on his neck, and I knew he might throw a chicken wing out, because that's really all you could do when your arms are in a hot dog suit. And yeah, once I realized that I was gaining the speed I wanted, it really, and I told Holly this last night, as ridiculous as it sounds, it really felt like high school all over again. Like I felt that moment before. I know exactly what Quincy Hall feels. I know exactly what Noah Lyles feels. And when you make it to the tape and you run the race that you want to run, and you give people something exciting to watch, a true showdown, there's nothing more thrilling than screaming at the top of your lungs as you cross the finish line in a mustard hot dog suit. There's nothing better.
Tucker D. Franklin here from Wiener Weekly. We're seeing some reports here in the chat that there may be some murmurings about Tyreek Hill versus Noah Lyles versus Nate in a hot dog suit. Can you confirm or deny your interest in that event potentially taking place?
I a couple of guys reached out to me, obviously seeing, what I put on tape and the consistent, unorthodox running style I have. I'm not going to say that I'm going to race those guys right now. We all need to find a time that works for all three of us, of course. I know people were in the stands last night saying, like, is Matt Contrero going to make you maybe a spot, pinch
Terrence
runner
Gore type?
Yeah. And we did make eye contact.
Good.
And I did let him know, like, hey man, if you need somebody, they're going to come get me and like take me back downstairs. But if you need me, just, my agent can get with your agent or JJ Bacola. Like, it's totally fine. I think I'm trying my best right now to just obviously rest and heal up. It takes a lot out of the body when you're running at that level of speed in that, heavy of a suit. But hopefully the Royals will call as they make their postseason sprint to October. And who knows, maybe in the spring, me and Tyreek, after football season, of course. And that should give Noah Lyles plenty of time to be healthy, from racing in the Olympics. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe March 27th. I don't know. I'm just throwing out a date if those guys want to agree to something like that.
Last one from this side of the room, Seth Keysor from First and Second Third John. Have you thanked your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ at any point in your post-game press conferences or any other way you would like to thank the big man for that speed you got there?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Nate, I'm sorry to interrupt, but mustard seed, that's in the Bible. Mustard hot dog? I don't know.
Right. And, there's a reason why God put me on this earth and gave me these talents and these skills. And, my faith is bigger than a mustard seed, but I clearly understand, the reference and obviously the reverence to what, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is asking from all of us from a faith, standpoint. And look, as I was in the suit, as Bob Fesco to my left in relish, of course, his one question for me, this is before we came out of the Royals dugout. He looked at me, or we had to like kind of shift our entire bodies to one another. It's kind of like this. Yeah, I can't see you. Bob, what, Bob? Huh? You're doing a lot of this. Huh? Anyway, Bob Fesco asked me, Nate, are you nervous? And I said, I'm hot. As sweat glistened my entire face. And it was in that moment that I did ask for prayer. It was in that moment that I asked in prayer, Lord, let me run the race. You've paved the way for me. Let me run the race that you've asked of me. Let me run it in a way that is respectful and praiseworthy to you. Let me run the race that you want me to race. That is not one that lets me fall down on my face. Please, Lord, I'm begging you, do not let me fall. Do not let me like throw up after the end of this. Do not let me just Lord protect me. Lord, we ask for your protection. Both literally and sacrilegiously. So yeah, that was in the moment where obviously I prayed. And then ladies and gentlemen, I cannot tell you how hot, sweaty, stiff, uncomfortable, stale that hot dog suit is. I would encourage everyone. I would encourage everyone to do it.
It's that's the thing of it. It encouraged you to pray because it gave you a brief preview of what hell might be like in the heat and the discomfiture. Being surrounded by dudes in costumes. There's just a whole lot going on there. And I think that version of it, that's in 4th John is the you find that.
My
that
hell actually
hell.
is being chased by Cody Tapp in a hot dog costume. So that
look, yeah, you could talk me into it. Did you? I do have one last question.
What's your name?
Sure.
Kent Swanson with the Not Athletic Anymore. I was wondering when you were looking ahead to the finish line and you saw someone there holding the finish line tape. You're trying to urge yourself forward. You got your competition next to you. Did you picture Troy Aikman's face on any of those people as you strove to defeat your enemies?
I don't try to think about Troy Aikman. Obviously, I know he's caused a stir, and he sees the race just like everybody else. He has eyes. He'll come to respect the work I've done, the amount of consistency I've had, the greatness that's inside of me. He'll come to fully acknowledge it at some point. Look, I know some people are saying I bumped Cody.
You know what,
ladies and gentlemen,
on behalf of my client, I've carefully reviewed the tape, and what Cody Tapp did, and look, Cody's a good dude, but for purposes here, he's my enemy because the enemy of my friend is my enemy, and so. What he did right off the line, he didn't just get a good jump at the line. He got a diagonal jump at the line because his goal there was, I'm going to run in front of Nate because I know for a fact that Nate is faster than I am, which, to be fair, all's fair in love, war, and hot dog racing contests. So I'm not saying he's cheating, but sometimes when someone's going to do that, winning isn't for everybody or everyone. Whichever thing Nike's
now I
saying
got to
these
re-edit
days.
that commercial with Nate's hot dog race. Dang, I didn't even think about that. That's crazy. Someone has to do that now, huh?
Can I tell you one of my favorite quotes of the last year and a half, maybe in sports? Because I'm going to use it here. And look, Troy Aikman, if you're listening, please, by all means, any enemies, any haters in my life, open your ears for a few seconds. Because, ladies and gentlemen, a couple years ago, I think it was last year, a lovely reporter asked Carlos Alcaraz about playing in a Grand Slam final. And his answer was, finals are not for playing, finals are for winning. Ladies and gentlemen, the hot dog derby is not about running. The hot dog derby is about winning.
Does that make you a bad person?
No. It makes me a winner.
We stomped on the rhetorical. I like it. Oh, man.
Any more questions?
I'm so proud of you.
Did you have
buddy.
a photo to show? Is that you mentioned a photo that you're excited about? But I don't know what this is.
Oh, well, you guys discuss for a minute, and I'll get that photo for you.
Oh, let's just do
momentarily.
this. Let's just do this. Hey, we've had a lot of fun here today. Let's just take a little time out. Let's take a little break. You go grab that photo. We'll come back. We'll pay that off, and then we'll talk about Kingsley Suamataia, Xavier Worthy, Carson Steele, and Seth won't have to worry about the ever-present guillotine hanging above his head. So let's just take a break, and then we'll see that picture.
We appreciate you supporting KC Sports Network by listening to our podcast. You have helped us become the highest-ranked Chiefs podcast network in 2022 and 2023. And don't forget about our daily Substack newsletter, the best written analysis you can find on the Chiefs straight to your inbox every day. kcsn.substack.com.
So we'll get to all those guys in a second. Nate, what have you uncovered? I will describe it for the audio audience, or Nate, of course, can describe it for the audio audience as we arrive there. Here's what else I'll tell you is that both Kingsley and Xavier Worthy have been covered in Seth's Chief of the North newsletter, mnchiefsfan.substack.com. You can subscribe for ridiculously low amounts of money at bit.ly/SethReallyHatesMoney. $1 a month forever. That's literally, it's actually $12 a year. You can just have that price for as long as he does the newsletter. Dumbass. So anyway, you can read that online there.
I just love it when the subtext becomes the text.
It's just ridiculous. It's absurd. You're giving away whatever. It's fine. I worked in terrestrial radio for a long time. We just put that out in the airwaves. Sometimes you got to get there. But go give Seth your money, even though he hates it. I didn't know it was going to be like a photo book thing here, Nate. I was not prepared.
I mean, these
vamp.
No, it's fine. Digitally, this hasn't been. I mean, we're going in the dark ages, guys. We're going in arcanic times. Even I would say medieval to some degree.
Medieval time.
Okay, I just want to let you know that yes, at some point, I had a more physical, athletic body. Okay. Are we ready?
Yes.
This is from the Lord, our Savior's 2006 yearbook.
Look at that young man.
Look at that specimen.
Look at that absolute athlete. If you could have told me, what would you say, 2006?
Yep.
If you would have told me that young man right there was 18 years away from winning a hot dog race, I would have 100% believed it. Unbelievable. Seth, what's your most athletic picture of yourself? I have at least one picture in a 3-point stance. That's what I got.
There is a picture of me. Jazz and I had just gotten married. I was 22 years old. The post-marriage and desk job poundage hadn't started to sink in just yet. And I'm playing ultimate frisbee with a group of fellas.
I would rephrase that if I were you, because at least one third of the show missed a context, and they got something else he wasn't prepared for, and then it took the rest of the story for me to figure out what that was about. So
I don't even know what I just said.
The poundage hadn't kicked in yet. You had just gotten married, you were at a desk job, but you had not yet begun the poundage.
So I had yet to put on the 40 pounds that have found me since getting married. And there's a perfect picture. I'm wearing a cutoff shirt and athletic shorts, playing ultimate frisbee. And I'm just getting ready to throw the thing. I'd caught it. And I look jacked and ripped and svelte. And it's the last good picture of me. So I was 22. Okay, Kyle Coffey. Only 40's mean. That's mean. That is just mean-spirited. It probably is more than 40 when I really think about it.
Oh God. Oh my God. So good.
Let's get it. I know Anonymous Mango is here for Nico Remigio. I think there are a couple of things from pressers today that I would love to actually touch on when we get to what we missed, because we had set the rundown before those pressers had all popped off today. So let's see if we can keep our pace. Let's go maybe at a Cody Tapp pace through the rundown. Not a Nate Taylor pace, but also not a Bob Fesco pace. Let's go a nice Cody pace down the rundown. And if we can get to what we missed, we can touch on the cornerback 2 battle and Nico. So I think those are the 2 big takeaways.
Yes.
So right out of the gate, really fast talking and then fade down the stretch.
Oh, come on.
You fade, Cody.
We'll say on average. Cody would beat your ass, Seth. If given a reason, not out of spite, just 1v1.
Just because. He doesn't need a reason. That's fine.
I don't know if that's true. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, we do like a little creator clash kind of thing and just let you and Cody fight. I actually think that'd be a pretty good match.
No, he'd actually do it. I'm so old, Josh.
I've already
told Jazz
classes.
I've already explained to my wife, I've got 10 seconds of defending her left in me. That's it. If I have not incapacitated her attacker at this point, hopefully our sons are there, or
she's got 10 seconds for like a head start, basically.
Get a head start.
You take off, and I'm gonna
10 seconds.
This thing.
10 seconds might be pushing it at this point because I'm tired, man.
So the best thing about it was Bob is clearly older than us, but me and Cody are similar ages. So there was we don't go by weight class, ladies and gentlemen, in the hot dog derby. just, can you fit that dang suit and can you sweat it out? Because my goodness, it was so hot. So yeah, it was like playing hockey. Like hockey players. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, hockey players smell the worst because all the equipment, all the sweat, all the like just wool clothing. I mean, a hockey sweater looks awesome. It does not. It's just not pretty. So anytime you go into a hockey locker room, it's the worst I've ever smelled. And so that's what I was. I was like a hockey player running in a race, not with sticks, pads,
Just a big wiener and some mustard.
That's freaking right.
That was your high school yearbook quote. Let's talk about Kingsley, Seth. I'll give you the first crack at it since most of this show has been about a hot dog race. But both of you guys have some Kingsley stuff to add to the mix today. Again, as ever, you can read Seth's work in the Chief of the North newsletter, Nate's work on The Athletic, and I even busted out the pen to write about Carson Steele a little bit over on ChiefsOnSI.com. So more suggested reading across everything, including, of course, all the great stuff on the KCSN Substack. So, you never run out of stuff to read, even in the preseason. Seth, you took a look at another game of Kingsley, more than 2 reps that mattered, and not a whole lot more to cool you of your optimism. Not perfect, but seemed like it was a pretty good outing in your eyes.
Yes, you can see the traits. He's got a strong punch, good length, and good feet to match. He's got the feet to reset. He's got the feet to rotate himself, to wall off edge rushers when they try to get around. It was on one of his snaps that someone had asked me whether it was a loss or not. I think he's getting used to the pro rule because the defender went into a rip move and you see him trying to like move his hand away. It's like, I'm not holding. It's like, dude, you can keep that hand there. You're in the NFL now. You can headlock the guy if he initiates a rip, and guys do it all the time. That's why people used to always think that Tom Bahali was getting held so often. Well, sometimes he was just getting held, but other times he loved a real good. He had a great rip move. I mean, like an unbelievable one, and guys would just put him in a chokehold. Kingsley, he wasn't perfect. Jeff Schwartz actually posted like a 10-minute video talking about him. Obviously, I'd rather you read the Chief of the North newsletter than do that.
I haven't watched Jeff's video yet, but I have read the newsletter. So take that.
Thanks,
former
man.
NFL offensive lineman Jeff Schwartz.
Who's really good at his job.
Very. I bet he's
too.
fuming right now, knowing that I did read Seth's first, and I have his open in a tab right now.
He's irate. So that's the thing with Kingsley. You got a chance to see him against some starters and then some second teamers for a bit, and he looks like he belongs. He's going to have rookie growing pains when he doesn't land, and Jeff noticed this too. When he doesn't land first, he can get himself into some trouble. If he struggles to be patient with his punch, and so he's got this tendency to dip his head and stop his feet a little bit, and you can see him working on that. But the raw materials are all there, and overall, he looks like he'll be able to be not suck in his first year. And that's all I ask for from a rookie left tackle. Don't be bad. Just don't be bad. And then, as kind of a cherry on top, he is, and multiple, Kyle Long and Mitch Schwartz were talking about this on Twitter following the game. His ability to move in space is by far the most athleticism they've had at left tackle since Big Fish left town. And that's something Andy Reid will 1,000,000% weaponize. You saw it on the reverse to Worthy. Man, he got out in space and just helped lay out a guy. That's something they're going to love to use, and they did it a ton with Fisher. You saw that there was a big change from Fisher to Brown in terms of what they could do in the run game there. Same with Donovan Smith. So I think he's going to be an asset there in the run game. The difference between him and Fisher. Now Fisher was a competent left tackle, helped them win a Super Bowl. Glad he was a Chief for all those years, but he didn't have. He had some lower body power, but he had upper body power deficiencies. And you could see that in the run game in terms of drive. And you could see it in the pass game at times against power-based guys, whereas Kingsley might not have those limitations. Now, if his ceiling is even what Fisher's was, great. But he has got the tools to have a higher ceiling than that. So I was really encouraged. He looks ready to go in terms of, I don't think it's going to be perfect. I think you're going to have some snaps where he's going to get baptized by good edge rushers. That happens as a rookie. But he looks like he could be just as good in pass protection as Smith was last year out of the gate. in terms of, and then the thing is, well, can you grow with that consistency over time?
A little bit of cross promo real quick is that you mentioned Tom Bahali. You can listen right now to Dustin Colquitt, Haley Lewis, and Tom Bahali on the KCSN feed right now on Hang Time, and listen to him talk about Karlaftis and FAU, working with them,
Yes.
and everything else of his. I have not gotten to listen to it yet, but I am certainly planning on it. You mentioned Tamba. Go listen to it on the same feed. You can you get all of our podcasts on there as well. Nate, you talked to Kingsley after the game, right?
Yes, I did.
What'd you get from him?
So
Before you
this
got
is
distracted by LRC.
yeah, man. I just said, hey, man, can we hurry this? Oh, boy, he's talking. God, he's talking. Louis Rees-Zammit is talking. I must ask him about his pass pro win in the fourth quarter of a second preseason game. I have to go over there. But first, let's be professional.
First starting left
Do you
tackle.
think he knows? Do you think he knows yet about my? I mean, he knows at this point that like my love for my love
I don't
for
know. Maybe
Louis
maybe our watchers and voyeurs could sit there and tag him in every tweet, and let them know about your crush, like the way they do with me and Charles Amenahu, and an opinion that I don't even have.
Well,
I don't
the
know,
difference
guys.
is
Maybe
that
you could spend your energy on that.
Nate likes LRZ, and you
Yeah.
hate Charles Amenahu.
Yeah,
so that'd be a weird thing.
I'm immensely attracted to him. That is different than he won't start week 1, you bozo.
Which, by the way, week 1 is in 2 weeks,
Yeah,
and I gotta say,
he's got 2 weeks, man. Back off.
Hey,
could be wrong.
Hey, today's his birthday. Shut your mouth, okay? He being Charles Amenahu.
On
Now
this man's
look,
birthday, Seth.
even on the man's birthday, he can't say one nice thing.
No, I forgot. It was his
Did you know?
birthday.
Did you know that? Did you know it was his birthday? Did you know?
I
Did
saw
you
it.
know it was
Also,
his
No,
birthday?
6 months since his
Did you know-
surgeries.
me.
Did you know it was his
6
birthday?
months post-op and
For
his
the haters.
birthday, and you're here to
the
wrench
haters.
his whole deal.
And the
No.
haters. So anyway, yes, before I
You've said a lot of objectionable things, Seth, but the fact that you said on Thursday that Felix Anudike-Uzomah is a better player right now than Charles Amenahu is crazy.
That is. Nate, you say things.
right now. Okay, so before I listen to Louis Rees-Zammit talk about it's only like the way he says it's only my second football game ever in my life. He just says it in such a, I mean, just, yeah, the earnesty in the accent, obviously the facial, I mean, the whole thing, the package is amazing. Anyway, this is our first,
Excuse me.
yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is our first paint the picture of the Chiefs locker room this year. The
Yes!
2024.
We're back.
Now look, the offensive lineman, as you enter the locker room at Arrowhead Stadium, as you enter, hello, Harrison Butker. He's usually the first person you see, or James Winchester. The specialists are immediately to your left. Then as you make a small turn is the offensive lineman. Now, interestingly enough, Kingsley has a very good locker room placement in the locker room. I mean, he has one of the prime real estate corner just locker room stalls. It's great. He's clearly the future at left tackle. So you walk in, we're waiting.
Wanya Morris has to change in the parking lot, which is screwed up. But they don't have that much space. They had to give 2 to Kelsey and I think 2 to Mahoney.
By the way, Kelsey has the locker, just FYI, Kelsey has the locker immediately next to the showers. Like he is literally Roy Kent. Like like everything about him is so Roy Kent. Like he's immediately to the showers. He tells Taylor Coffin from Channel 9, "No, I will not talk to you, and you'll like it." And she's like, "Okay."
I'm guessing
And-
it may not have been that demonstrative just before. That's the clip that goes crazy.
True, right? He didn't say it like that. It was pretty tongue in cheek. Clearly we have him on camera talking about the behind the back pass in a very tongue in cheek manner. So look, they've already given Kingsley one of the best locker room stalls in the locker room. Cool. We talked to Xavier Worthy. We talked to, obviously Cornell Powell for his amazing touchdown. We talked to Noah Gray about being a long snapper. Oh, there's James Winchester. but he did play and finish the game. So therefore, by rules, technically available to talk. So we talked to him. Obviously, you got some defensive guys. You got Felix Enrique Uzama. You have, Carson Steele. I mean, Carson Steele still getting a lot of love out
Was
here.
FAU noticeable in the locker room?
Come on.
I was gonna.
You know what?
I think
You know
Charles
what?
Who's really good, by the way, everyone. That's not based in reality at all. That comment.
Here's my Felix locker room note. That boy was tired.
Yeah,
man. He was like, yeah, you had to play. I know, son, you had to play every down, and you're a former first round draft pick, and that doesn't say a lot about you or the depth at the position. I'm gonna go that way. I'll see you later. But he was tired. He played a lot of snaps. I appreciate his honesty in telling us how tired he was about, like, can somebody take these fourth quarter snaps? No. And now there he is. And I've seen Orlando Brown Jr. I've seen Donovan Smith in person, but this is the first real test of seeing a left tackle in person in the locker room. And Kingsley Suamataia just kind of quietly tried to, like, not be noticed. Even though, as I just told you, you have one of the best lockers in here. It's kind of hard to miss you. But he's a rookie. He's trying to be the nice, humble, like, nobody look at me. Didn't Xavier Worthy catch the touchdown? No one look at me. And I mean, he put on his, now, to be fair, put on his sunglasses inside the locker room.
Fantastic. Starting left tackle. I'm in. I was on the fence until this moment.
Put the same AirPods that I have in his ears.
Love that. Grinder, not too flashy.
I looked at this man and said, the season comes down to you. The season really, like, the pendulum kind of swings on you. And then what he told us? You know what he told us?
What did he tell you?
I'm ready.
Ooh. Okay.
I knew that when he put on the sunglasses, but it's nice to hear him say it too.
Yeah. No, the willingness to say it. I'm ready for week 1. I'm ready. I'm the guy. Nobody between me and Patrick. I'm ready. And I thought that was someone starting to accept the journey in front of them. The fact that I am the starter. I did play well today. Obviously, I can get better. But I'm ready. I'm ready for the Baltimore Ravens. He didn't even make it sound like he could play against the Chicago Bears on Thursday.
Right.
No, I'm ready. And so I think it's a good sign, and we'll see where it goes from here. But the Chiefs are pleased with the way he's obviously sort of progressed throughout training camp in the preseason. And now he's got, I'm a rookie about to start in the NFL kind of swagger, while also trying to not be noticed by reporters. Because guess what, kid? We're here now.
We will be noticing you for the remainder of
the season. Yeah. Correct.
It's very funny to me that I think essentially both of your guys' takeaways were he's ready. And a lot of times with the thing I'm about to say, that's not a misrepresentation for you, right, Seth? Like, again, with the ups and downs, you're comfortable with him. You're not worried about him playing against the Bears, right?
I'm as comfortable. I'm not worried about him playing against the Bears. I'm as comfortable with him at left tackle with a small sample size, variance, blah, 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 right? As I was with Donovan Smith.
Fair. Orlando Brown had years of high-level ball to look back at, a much larger sample size, all of that.
Yep.
So with that in mind, this stuff frequently doesn't matter, but it does in some instances. It did with Mahomes, and I don't want that to taint every way we talk about this, but Kingsley literally and figuratively seems to have that in his DNA. partially literal familial connections of cousins in the NFL, and Penei Sewell. That's different than, being in the locker room with your dad or shagging balls for the Mets or whatever. There are different levels to all of that.
But it matters.
It does matter. And confidence will not erase a lack of talent or a lack of effort, to be clear. The hierarchy of needs here, I am on a little tippy top bit that is not always there. But that interaction and that mindset does feel like it matters when you're saying, hey, bud, you are going to be protecting the blind side of the best player in sports right now and one of the best things we've seen in modern athletics. And this team's trying to do something that's never happened in the 60-plus years of this. I mean, like, obviously, franchise's existence, you can get 100 years of NFL, different forms, obviously, back in the day, pre-merger, whatever. This hasn't happened. And you are going to be under a spotlight. Does that freak you out, or does that excite you? And it seems like he's excited for that opportunity, and it's probably only going to get easier with Joe Thuney next to him. Yeah. I am encouraged by all of that. And that was the second round pick. Because for as much as we can say about Kingsley, Seth, I'll kick it right back over to you. You've already written about Worthy too. I will spoil this little bit before you fully unpack it, because I'm with you. My expectations for a Xavier Worthy rookie season have grown significantly over the course of training camp, and Saturday was the cherry on top for me.
Yeah. That's what I led with at the Chief of the North newsletter. Is my expectations for him have grown at every turn. My assumption when they took him, even though they took him in the first round, traded up to get him, my assumption was going to get the rookie treatment. Limited route tree, limited alignments, some gadget stuff, and his skill set fits a lot of that stuff, right? Like the gadget stuff, end around reverses. The man can cook. I mean, he can run. That's a big deal. And then we saw a little bit, he was injured with certain OTAs things. And then we saw a little bit before the practices were padded. I was like, okay. And then you see a little more. So I know we got to speed it up. We got to do Cody Tapp at the beginning of the race speed. The more that I've seen, the more I've liked. And this isn't just a matter of like seeing things like, does his speed and acceleration translate at the NFL level? Because it doesn't always. Look at John Ross, right? There's track fast, there's football fast, and there's football fast in a straight line and football fast while you're running routes. You know what the difference is? And this is no disrespect to 3-time Super Bowl winner and genuine contributor to every one of those Super Bowls, McCole Hardman. He's fast in a straight line. Very fast, incredibly fast. But you have never seen him run a stutter and go like what Xavier Worthy scored on against the Lions in the preseason. That ability, that nuance within the route, that's just not something Hardman has in his toolkit. And he's had a very successful pro career despite that, which is a testament to the other things he does well. But it's also a testament to Worthy and what's different. So here's the things that excited me. We'll go with traits and then usage, and I'll try to make it quick. Traits-wise, when you look at that, and this is what I wrote about in the Chief of North newsletter, and it's kind of laid out in the pictures. When you look at that 3rd and 11 conversion, you might be asking yourself, how did he get so open? What is happening here? And it's because of this little head fake and step inside he takes while he's still going up the seam that genuinely creates the separation, because it fakes out the seam defender who's following him up the seam because he keeps that inside leverage, keeps following up the seam. Fakes out the boundary defender who's playing zone from all appearances because he sees him step inside. Oh, I don't need to get depth. He's going inside. And just as importantly, that deep safety. Hey, say goodbye to single high, by the way. Say goodbye. It's nice seeing you single high coverage. Unless Worthy turns into a pumpkin when the season starts, which you never know, teams are going to be like, oh, crap, this again. Can't do it. The deep safety, when he takes that little step to the inside, it forces the deep safety to stay in the middle of the field. He can't start pursuing towards the boundary, and then that lets Worthy just cut right back, doesn't lose speed. His acceleration on the field is, I'm going to refuse to make the comparisons people are going to always be making.
Noticeable.
But his acceleration is spooky on the field. Same thing with that. So then you fast forward to his touchdown. Same thing. That stutter at the top of that route, that was man coverage. He created like 5 yards of separation against man coverage. That was, and it's because that little stutter. He has an ability to vary his route speeds based on what he's setting up. And that's something we talked about after the Chiefs drafted him, where we were saying he's more than just fast. He weaponizes it similar to Hollywood Brown. You weaponize that speed to create separation. And that ability to maintain speed through cuts, to understand when to make those cuts and how to utilize leverage, that's what separates fast guys from really good wide receivers. There's a difference between a guy who's a fast guy, a track star on the field in football who can occasionally make some differences because of how fast he is, and a really good receiver who happens to have absolutely elite speed. Worthy looks like he could be the second one. So that's the trait stuff. We'll see, right? We'll see. We'll see week 1. Great defense they're going to come up against. That's going to be such a wonderful opportunity. Here's the second thing. Usage. You want him to run a route combination designed to do a pick on man coverage. You want to see him line up in the slot. You want to see him line up right at the flank inside the slot. You want to see him line up on the line, off the line, with motion, no motion, on the boundary. You want to see him run more routes. And I wrote this in the newsletter. He ran more routes in terms of a variety of routes in that preseason game than Rashee Rice did through 8 games last year. And Rashee Rice is a really good player.
Right.
But he was on the traditional rookie plan, whereas there were no limitations on what they had Worthy doing. He was playing Hollywood Brown's stuff. Is the assumption, right? That's the easy assumption to make. They're lining him up all over and having him do all sorts of stuff. That's my assumption, is that's the plan for Hollywood Brown this year, and Brown will be really good at it. That is really exciting, and what it resulted in for Rashee Rice is really exciting. Because Rashee Rice looks a little quicker than last year. A little improvement on those steps. So that's with Worthy. We'll see. But, man, it's hard to not go from, man, if he can just be, a little bit of an upgrade over MVS in terms of a deep threat, that would have been huge all by itself. Now it's like, it's just hard not to get excited. He hasn't shown any limitations yet outside of, he's small. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That was going to be my only thing, Seth, is like the only thing that we didn't get a full look at. And it's hard to even simulate it because, again, it's preseason to regular season, but they have not asked him to really try to break tackles. And obviously he hasn't been hit on contact the way that was really one of the few sort of cons of, in comparison to like all the pros he was bringing as a prospect. So
he was never a yak guy in college other than speed. And he's got some wiggle to him. And so that'll help, but I don't think he'll be that guy. Oh, just another way he lined up. Stacked formations. What are they going to do if guys press him? They're going to line him up in a stacked formation and have Watson at the line of scrimmage.
Or he'll run behind Kelsey on motion, certain looks.
And that's why you can't just play press man. There's a route combination with him and Rice that actually resulted in an incomplete pass that had the guy been playing up, it would have picked him, and Worthy would have had a ton of separation. And that's why, okay, we better play off. Well, then you know what happens when you're off? You're giving him a free release at the line, and he sprints by you. Reed will help with that. And, a final thing. One of my favorite plays of the day for him was a pass. And, man, I said this about Rashee Rice last year in a very similar thing. A pass that went to Rice early in the game. It went to Rice on the inside, and I'm watching it right now. And Worthy lines up in the slot, and he's running essentially a slot fade. And you see him recognize that it's zone. Gear back his route, gear back his speed, and turn and look for the ball as he enters the empty zone in the defense rather than sprinting through it. That's a big deal, because if you can recognize how to vary your speed through open zones, that's really exciting. That's exciting. So we'll see. Trying not to be overly optimistic.
Nate, I wanted to ask you about those elements and the usage. Obviously, you can talk about some of the specific reps if you want to. But there were multiple instances, I believe, when Worthy adjusted mid-play in a we're not in Mahomes Kelsey territory yet, but for a rookie to be doing that in the second preseason game is deeply exciting.
Yeah, and the ability to do it with Carson Wentz too. I think that also needs to be recognized. The fact that it wasn't like his production was varied because he was playing with the backup quarterback instead of Patrick. I think there were two things that the Chiefs wanted to accomplish, and it was like, hey, if the Lions play a lot of vanilla zones, let's just get our, not necessarily quick game, but let's just get into a flow, into a rhythm, which obviously extends to Patrick and Rasheed. And then, yeah, let's just, as Seth said, let's just see how good Xavier is at like all these different things. And oh, by the way, he caught a touchdown. Oh, by the way, he beat man coverage. Oh, by the way, he's available in zone coverage. Oh, by the way, hey, let's run an end around sort of reverse. Let's just get him out in the space with Kingsley. Oh, that may go for 6, 7, 8 yards, in a regular season game, based on their speed and athleticism working together. So it's all encouraging. But similarly, there's not a ton to, Xavier, I think was content, I think would be the word I would use for his performance when we talked to him in the locker room. He's just very content, obviously knows, similar to the rest of the starters, hey, I need to get ready for week 1. But yeah, it's nice that he feels content that like the first game was the first game. And, coach just kind of yanked me after a series where now I know I can play at this level, and now I'm ready to see me play at, the actual level that everybody's telling me about. That was one of the funny, kind of really good moments. I know somebody mentioned McCole in the chat. That's one of the great things about McCole today at the podium, explaining what it was like to go from preseason to regular season and just the level of physicality and obviously the speed that guys are going to be playing at. So you don't worry about the speed part. It's all just, can he, secure the ball, catch everything cleanly, and will he be okay? Just with the level of contact that is involved in a, full-fledged NFL regular season game, even before you get to the postseason. And so he's content with everything that they've asked him to do. And, we all know the deep ball highlights that Tucker, took in training camp. And, there's even more routes, I'm sure, that haven't even been shown yet. And that's going to be really interesting because for the Baltimore Ravens, they have a lot more to look at than you might expect, considering a limited amount of snaps and the fact that they asked Worthy to do so much of the playbook already.
Yep. Speaking of a player who got tested with their versatility and who we've already seen survive some NFL contact, welcome to the roster, Carson Steele.
Hey!
I'm willing to call it. If we see him on Thursday, then great. Also, we will not be doing a show on Thursday. Most likely, we'll circle back and do something on Friday after that. But obviously, This show is Tuesday, Thursday, and they play on Thursday. Both, of course, this preseason game and then for the kickoff as well. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. I want to just run you through the best thing in audio, which is me reading a list.
Let's do it.
It's great to follow. It's electric to listen to. Here are the things that Carson Steele did when he was on the field with Patrick Mahomes on Saturday. Run, stopped by Ben Neiman in the hole. That certainly hurts his case, but he overcame that. Second rep, chipped the defensive end with Niang and then picked up either a weird bad blitz or good man coverage if the ball was out quick to Worthy. Similar on the next rep. Fourth one, hesitates through the O-line, run a little check down route. Play action on the fifth. He's the guy out there. Runs a little wheel route of some sort on the sixth. Seventh play was 3rd and 3. Fake to steal, another little play action when Mahomes rolls right and then behind the back with it, which I guess we should talk about. We'll get there in what we missed, I suppose. Then a bunch of backfield action on that Worthy reverse. He was in there for that. He was in empty on the 9th one and then motioned into the backfield from the slot back to Mahomes and then ran a route. Carry on the 10th one. On the 11th one, little shotgun screen kind of thing that Lucas Niang's defensive end just completely ate up as soon as Steele touched the ball. I don't think that was his fault. And I think his most important rep came when Carson Wentz was quarterbacking and throwing a touchdown to Xavier Worthy. I go through all of that to make 2 specific points. One is that Carson Steele, in his own way, got a little bit of everything. He got protect Patrick Mahomes, take the football, run a route, just run some play action. Everything got tested throughout that process. I was also glad, going back to Jeff Schwartz, I was glad I didn't see this until after I'd already written about it, but he, on the Worthy touchdown was like, this isn't a great blitz here, but it was still a good pickup by Steele. I appreciated that because I kept rewinding the clip being like, this is the worst blitz I've ever seen, or the most aggressive man coverage I've ever seen. I don't know. But regardless, Steele stopped it in its tracks there. The other thing is that excruciating 11-play synopsis is that Carson Steele in a live game with Patrick Mahomes was in there for essentially a long drive drill. I think they tested Carson Steele on that script there. Maybe not literally the script, but that was in many ways test what this guy can do, and I didn't see him fail any of those tests. He's not Isaiah Pacheco, but I did not see him fail any of those tests for a team that really has one reliable running back at this point. What did you guys think?
The other thing too is he's not a negative on special teams.
Yeah, he was back. He had a kick return. He could be the guy that Dave Tobe mentioned today. Probably want to have a speed guy and a bigger guy back there in your landing zone. Did that too.
So he was not a negative on special teams. And he could do, whatever is asked of him on special teams. So that's it, kids. We found him. It's hilarious that he was tackled by Ben Neiman, who was the first undrafted rookie to make a 53-man roster when I covered this team back in 2018.
Wow.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, he will be the next, barring any unforeseen circumstances. As of right now, he will be the next undrafted rookie to make the roster for your Kansas City Chiefs. Carson Steele has done it, and even
he had one rep with Deneric Prince, so that they even tested that.
Yep. And he
laid a hit on the linebacker on that.
Yeah, he lead blocked, and I was like, "Oh, well, we can work with this. Yes, we can." So
really aggressive.
Yeah, unless something happens, he's going to be forced to play in the third preseason game, Josh, just because they have no running backs.
Right.
So
Deneric Prince, 30 carries. Let's go, man.
Hey, this is Deneric Prince. Depending on how other things go down, this is your resume builder here.
Yeah.
This is your, hopefully you get some decent run blocking, because you could see Prince's athleticism. He's got those high legs when he gets going. I mean, he can move.
Looks like Nate in a hot dog suit.
He looks like Nate in a hot dog suit. If he can break a couple of long runs, I would be so thrilled for him.
Yeah.
Because he shows that ability, and that is an ability Carson Steele does not have.
No,
Dude ran like a 4.75 40. Here's one thing I would say.
You know what we do, Seth? I run hard, coach.
Yeah,
his alligator actually runs faster than he does, which is crazy.
And the reality of the situation with Carson Steele and the current Chiefs running back situation is they have their primary back, and what they need is someone who won't screw things up on third down, or someone who, if Pacheco gets hurt, will come in and not screw things up, who they can run power with. Because that's the changeup. They've utilized that in the past, and they're actually even more well equipped for it now, I think, with Suamataia than they were with Smith. It's like, hey, Trey, Pacheco's hurt, so we're not going to be able to hit the edge much with this Carson Steele guy. You cool running a lot of power? And Trey's like, yes,
yeah,
I really am, coach. Really, really am. And so they can build off that. The big thing, they let him in there on third downs, and you pointed this out, Josh, with Patrick Mahomes on the field. He was out there with Patrick Mahomes in pass protection on a third down. And from what I can see, he hit all of his spots appropriately. He did have the downfield shot to Justin Ross, where he got to the right spot, made a good read. The defender kind of blew him up a little bit, so he slowed him down. But so it's funny because it's not technically a loss, even though it looks bad. But he slowed him down enough for the ball to come out against a blitz. That's the job as a running back. Most coaches aren't expecting you to really light that blitzer up. They want you to slow him down.
Yes.
He didn't make mistakes. When you watch his releases out of the backfield, he gets to the right spot. That's really what they need, someone who won't be bad. And it looks like that's what he's grabbing. And that's really with the Clyde stuff, before everything that's kind of going on right now, is he takes care of himself, does the things that he's got to do. It was like, well, Clyde won't mess it up.
Right.
If Carson can do that, that's the thing with Prince. I think it's worth noting that Steele comes in with the first team,
yes,
and with the second team, and then didn't play another snap.
Yep.
That's right.
It's pretty clear what the levels
hierarchy
are right now.
is. Yeah, right. Yes.
Hierarchy. That's the word.
Yes.
Let's do a quick little whip around of a few other guys real quick. I have all of Spags' quotes up here, Nate, so I can give the details on that here in a second. Let's pay off Anonymous Mango's super chat from earlier. Dave Tobe is a member of the Remigio Hive. He said he will be pounding the table for Nico Remigio to make the team. I would say that right now he would probably be wide receiver 8 if there are 7 making the team. I personally would still take Justin Ross over Remigio at this point because I feel like McCole Hardman is probably your fast, smaller guy in the return game. But
he's probably
break that down for us.
Right. As of right now, I think wide receiver 5 is McCole Hardman.
Yeah.
I think wide receiver 6, because of the return versatility and the fact that, like, as they've said, he kind of knows the system now. All 3 receiver positions, Sky Moore. Now, have we seen Sky Moore do a ton in preseason? No. A little surprising for me, but he did have a nice kickoff return. This is where it comes down to what actually Thursday night's all about. I don't know how much you can really benefit from no Patrick Mahomes, no Carson Wentz.
Yep.
But boys,
first team line.
You better make it work with Ian Book and Chris Oladokin. Make it. Hey, you see what Cornell Powell did?
Save
Do
your
one of
career
those
with Ian Book.
Yeah. So I think they're gonna only play the first half. So let's just say Chris Oladokin, right?
Okay, great.
Who, by the way, as my good friend Matt Derrick says, hey, perfect quarterback passer rating against the Lions. Against the Lions 4s?
Did you really?
Yes, he did. So here's the pros for Nico Remigio. He has Dave Tobe. He can return kicks. He can be a gunner. He can be a punt returner in a pinch. He might be a better slot receiver than Sky Moore. I'm not sure because we haven't seen it, and I mean that for both guys.
Right.
And then
we haven't seen either of them be a professional slot receiver yet, so we don't really know.
And the other thing is, what route you want me to run, Coach? I'll run that route. Now, I could argue Nico Remigio should have had a touchdown against the Jacksonville Jaguars a couple weeks ago, but Chris Oladokin didn't lead him into the end zone. That's fine. That's fine. Still caught it. Still set it up for Carson Steele to be the hero. Here's the con. Can he catch a jump ball in the back of the end zone on the boundary?
And more importantly, can he line up as the boundary on the line receiver in a stack? Can he be the one that absorbs the press? Because you know why Justin Watson is wide receiver 4? Because he can do that.
Yeah.
And they trust him. He'll go to the exact right spots. He won't do any more, any less. He will once a game make an unbelievable catch on the sideline on 3rd and 15. That's a very valuable trait. But he he's a big dude who can be at the line, absorb the contact, run rubs, run picks, do all that. Remigio is a similar receiver in skill set, ideal skill set to 4 other guys they got. That's tough. It's tough to make the roster that way. As opposed to like a Justin Ross, who he's not a perfect receiver by any means, and he doesn't belong in the field in some circumstances. But if Justin Watson gets hurt, he can line up on the boundary and eat contact.
Now, here are the pros for Justin Ross. Hey, Coach, I can run a fade. I can run a gorgeous fade. You want a goal line fade? An intermediate fade? Deep fade? Jump ball me. Okay? Jump ball me, ho. Son, can you run a slant? No. Can you run a dig? No. Can you run a comeback? No. Can you run a bubble screen? No. Can you block? No.
Can you block when the ball's away from you, even though you're gigantic?
No. Can you block for anybody? Kadarius Toney's life is in your hands. Can you block for him? No. Will you play special teams? Sure. Will you be good at it? No. So,
well, what if on special teams we have you block? Don't do that.
No, don't ask. Don't ask, don't tell. No. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've heard my voice, that's a lot of no's. Okay.
Yeah.
So we got a true wide receiver 7 battle on Thursday night. Get hyped. Okay, for Justin Ross versus Nico Remigio. Best man wins with Chris Oladokun slinging that thing.
That's what you have to look forward to on Thursday. We'll be back probably Friday as things stand now, but we'll tweet it out or put it across socials. JB Brisco, Real MN Chiefs fan by Nate Taylor on Twitter, X, whatever. We may just make a bigger topic out of CB2 again on Friday or Tuesday or whatever. Because Spags talked a lot about it today, and they're not healthy right now. That won't impact them very much on Thursday because it's the third preseason game. Most of those guys wouldn't play anyway. But there's some feedback in the cornerback group right now that I think is, Steve Spagnuolo said it's concerning and frustrating. So I'm also therefore at least a little bit concerned. If you want to see the video of Nate running around Kauffman Stadium in a hot dog costume, you can see that on Nate's Twitter as well as filmed by Holly Taylor and others. There are multiple angles. I have watched every angle of it that I could find, and everyone is even more joyous than the one before. So that being said, Nate, why don't you get us out of here and get us into this third preseason game?
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to read you some comments about, again, the race of my life. Quote, that was like Quincy Hall in the Olympics. Came from behind. You're damn right, Catherine.
Damn right.
You're damn right. From Brian, are we sure he's not faster than Worthy? Fair question. Totally fair question. Great job, Nate, says Lance. Mustard always has some extra juice. And we squeezed every drop out of it last night. You're damn right we did. They don't call you no allows of condiments for nothing. Jayhawk, I didn't know they called me the no allows of condiments, but thank you.
They do now.
Thank you so much. D-Mac said I was impersonating Quincy Hall with the lean at the end there. Incredible. And look, Scott Lawrence, my guy, says mostly using a KCSN graphic. They asked for it and they got what they asked for.